Waiting for the broadcast to come on the cell phone there. It's not showing up. So I can't tell if you can see me or not. Go. Finally came up with a watch live. There we go. All right. Good morning. Good morning. How are all you senior sketchers out there? Glad to see you're there. I keep doing these live videos, even though I think there's only one group of people watching this that cannot come on that cannot respond. But maybe you'll see it or take a class and you can watch it later. We'll be teaching live again starting in January. They're in Albuquerque. So some of you I know will see this again. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I did not get an opportunity to paint this one in, and you can see here at the, let's see, on the right of my screen there. It's on my left, but I assume it's on your right because this is my right ear. Everything's backwards. Excuse me. But this is the picture we had to work from. Sherry and I sat there and sketched this one live. Here is the actual sketch that, oh, you can't see that yet. I'll show you in just a minute. Let me get that over there so that you can see it. There, this one I just did this morning. I kind of sketched it out in pencil. I'm going to go over this one in ink so I can give you some pointers to drawing it. And this one is the one that we actually did on location. Let's see there. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's just a loose drawing of a caboose. I really had to guess quite a bit, as you can probably uh, surmise uh, from the photo, because we couldn't see from where we were. We could not see. We were across the street in Clarkdale, Arizona, and this is a little restaurant in Clarkdale that's across the street from or kitty corner from the Hopper Museum. If anybody's been there, you could leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of Clarkdale. We've been there a couple of times. We were there last year around the same time of the year. And what's funny is on the highway there's signs saying historic Clarkdale. I have my tea. Um, it's the same as there is historic Jerome. So we went to Jerome, of course. We do just because it's a fun place to go, an old historic place. But on the way back, you can drive through Clarkdale, and both times that we've come through Clarkdale in Jerome, there are a lot of people, a lot of tourist shops, a lot of nice shops, a lot of things going on. In Clarkdale, there's nobody. You hardly see any people on the street. And the few people I've spoken with were not kind of inviting. You know what I mean? The sentences were truncated. So if I ask a question and then they respond as briefly as possible. My point is, it's a nice looking town. It's well kept. We went to the museum, which had the hours on the wall, and the hours are posted there. So it was open at the time we were there, but the door was locked with a guy sitting inside who didn't feel like opening the door. Right. So anyway, my question is, what is it about Clarksdale? Is it that they don't want tourists there? I don't know. In any case, this little caboose was is kitty corner, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that location in a minute. And so I kind of I took this reference shot. I had to walk up the street. When we were sitting there, actually, we were just staring at the flat side, and I wanted a three-quarter view. But neither, with all this vegetation and foliage from the trees in the foreground there, neither of those two left a good thing, a good place. So I kind of, as you can see here, I kind of changed the sketch. I put most of the foliage behind, or from the trees, I put it behind, even though in reality there's a parking lot there. But for instance, this is the middle of the week day, and that restaurant was closed, not open. Uh, Whereas we had just had lunch up in Jerome, where everything's open and people are all over the place, you know, rather busy. Well, here's the drawing. I'll give you a few minutes. Go ahead and get this sketched in, and I'll give you a chance to get your phones out and take a picture of this sketch, and that'll give you some kind of pattern. When the website does finally get up, you should be able to go there and download a 5x7 this image. You can also photograph it with your phone, and that will give you the ability to go to your printer and go to the size where the papers are and stuff like that. There's an area in there. If you keep searching for it, you will find an area where you can print a 5x7 of this. And that's what we work with is 5x7s. You learn a bit more, in my view, when you're just starting out or even in the middle by doing a lot of small works. And then as you gain confidence, you can move to larger pieces. But the other one is it's really kind of difficult to do the larger pieces and instruction for you and meet the range of people that I teach with larger pieces. So take your picture and we'll get rid of this one in just a minute. We'll get this. I'll take this down and ink in the other one so I can show you. All right. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, this one is the one I drew just this morning, a few minutes ago. I just lightly drew it in. You may not be able to see it. I'm going to draw this one with the ink. Just going to go over some of my lines here to give you some pointers. And then I'm going to paint this one in just for fun. So, because I didn't get a chance to do it the other day. Um, let's see, where shall we start? The first thing to keep in mind while you're drawing this is that it's basically boxes. So this is a rectangle. There's a upright rectangle here of the front of the caboose, or the back of the caboose, I guess it would be, where the door is. But there's also a rectangle right here where the railing for the caboose would be. The whole thing is a rectangle from side to side. Both there's a rectangle that is just the wall of the caboose, but there's also a rectangle because of this little porch, or you can call it a rectangle here. My point is, if you will start by deciding the distance that you want the caboose to be from this side of the painting to here, from your left to your right, and just make a mark there for that distance, and decide on this side how far you want to be in from this side on your right side, and make a mark there. So now that gives me the ability to say, okay, my rectangle here is this wide, or going to be, and I want my side of the building to be this wide from here to here, and here is my side. So here is the back of the caboose. Here's the side of the caboose. And these two lines, this one and this one, represent the railing or the porch of the caboose. These have a little bit of thickness to them because they're wrought iron that comes down. And there is a wrought iron, what would you call this? A gate comes across here. It actually has an opening on the other side, but I'm just going to leave it like this because our minds will kind of tell you what's going on there. And on the bottom, I have a lot of foliage drawn in here. So I've already marked this, but you can just start by, once you get these squares in here, you can put the foliage in first if you're working with a pencil. And that leaves you areas where you want to put the floor of the building. Right? I purposely enlarged these stones, and the reason was because it was so far away and kind of dark, I really couldn't see much detail of what the wheels looked like. I had to make up the wheels. You can put these stones wherever you like, or as many as you like. Personally, I like to not have even numbers of things, so try and put 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 2. Here's a 2, but it has a third one back there. And on these stones, I'm simply putting a little bit of what will be either a highlighted side or a shaded side. There's a highlighted side. I'm making a space here so that I can show both sides. You can, if you want to, put a little vegetation in between the stones like this, but you don't have to. A bigger one back here. And I will put this big one in front of this one. On the top here, there is a mm, kind of a border thing. Another thing to look at is I slightly slant the top down so that we get a little bit of perspective in there. And there's a similar thing on the bottom here of, of metal. It's black metal that goes across the bottom. I'm not sure. I don't know if the black one, if this, it is black, but I don't know if it's metal or not on the top. The door frame, I'm going to move mine over just a little bit. And this door frame, if you're being in perspective, should slant just a little bit this way. Not too much of a slant from the distance. When you're doing things from a distance, drawing them, you will see, well, let me rephrase it a different way. If we were doing this perfectly in perspective, and this was, let's say our horizon line was back in here somewhere, like going across here, then we would go way out here, make some vanishing points, and draw construction lines that would be at an angle. And that would make this top slant down, this bottom slant up, this top slant down, and this bottom slant up. And as a consequence, the doors and the frames and the windows and all those things would do the same thing. But since we're kind of urban sketching, we're putting a little bit of that in there, and I'm mentioning it so that